I'm excited today to introduce you to the Woodwind family. It's probably my favorite instrument family. I'm a little biased. I was a flute major first in college before I started majoring in voice as well. So near and dear to my heart, right? Now the Woodwind family is called the Woodwind family because the instruments in the Woodwind family are made out of wood and you play them with your breath or your wind. So wood, wind. Now, there's some surprises along the way, so make sure you don't trip up on that one. But I'm going to be introducing you to the fife, to the flute, several members of the flute family, to the recorder, several members of the recorder family, and some little surprises in between. Hi friends, I have a fife here to show you. Now this instrument goes way back. They used to use them in the Revolutionary War and before to communicate on the battlefield. And you may be like, what do you need an instrument on the battlefield? We're not singing songs when we're fighting. Well, they would use them as a code to tell the soldiers what was going on. So instead of the commander having to yell across the battlefield, he'd have his fifers and his drummers play different tunes and different drum beats, and that would tell them what to do. Now, you'll notice it's made out of wood. This is maple, so it's a wood wind because it's made out of wood and you play it with your wind. It has a little brass on the end to protect the ends. You blow across this hole right here, the big hole, and some of the air goes into the tube. Some of it just goes out into the world and you waste it. And then some of it goes down here and it comes out the first hole it comes to that's uncovered. So if you plug up the holes with your fingers, it makes the tube longer, right? Now the air has to come out the very bottom. Well, if I uncover the holes, then the air can come out here, and it's a short tube. So the shorter the tube, the higher the pitch, right? So if I cover all the holes, it's a low note. If I cover fewer holes, it's a higher note. Excuse me. choking up here, getting so excited. So this song, I think, is pretty popular. You've probably heard it before. See if you can guess what it's called. Did you guess Yankee Doodle? Then you're right. Congratulations. Let's go on to the next instrument. Some of you probably know what this instrument is. It's a flute. It's a member of the Woodwind family. And I know now some of you are thinking, wait a minute, that's definitely not made out of wood. You're right. It's made out of metal. This one's made out of silver. Some flutes are made out of nickel. Student flutes are usually made out of nickel. Adult professional flutes are made out of silver, sometimes more silver. This one's completely silver. It's a little tarnished, doesn't hurt the flute, doesn't change the sound. It doesn't even feel nasty or icky or, anything. It just changes color. So, and that's what happens when the air hits it. And if it got a little damp or something, and it's been sitting in my studio because I teach with it every day. So it's out all the time and that's what happens. So I just need to take it to my friend who cleans my flute and takes care of my flute for me. But it works the same way the fife does. So you blow across the large hole in the head joint up here, and some of the air goes down into the flute. You put down more keys to make lower notes. And you pick up keys and you pick up your fingers to make higher notes. The flute can play very high. It's really known for making this sound. We call it a trill. Some people think it sounds like a bird. I kind of think it sounds like a bird. So it's known for being bird-like. In the orchestras, they frequently have it playing the little birdie parts. They're so much fun. But I'm going to play a short little piece for you today so you can hear what the flute sounds like. I'm going to play a little piece for you right now. Let's see if you can hear some of the trills in it. This is just a little snip of a piece, but it's got a fun little trill at the end. is also a flute. It's a wooden flute. So remember I told you that the flute was originally made out of wood. This is what it would have looked like, something like this. The original ones look like a fife. They just had holes on them. They started adding keys, and they made them out of metal because it worked better. They've got a pad underneath that helps seal. Now, this one is not from box day. This is not a 250-year-old, 300-year-old flute. This one is a little bit younger than that, but it isn't new. It's still pretty old. It's older than I am. It's made out of rosewood, but it has a crack in it, so it's been fixed. So it has some quirks to it, and one of its quirks is sometimes the keys don't seal the hole completely. So I'm going to play a little piece for you, but please pardon, some of the notes aren't going to sound as clear, and I have to go a little bit slower than you would normally play this piece. I did want you to be able to hear the difference in sound between a wooden flute and a silver flute. So this is a little piece, a little part of a Handel flute sonata. So you can see it has a slightly wispier sound, but it's really lovely. And as you can tell, though, it wouldn't cut through the orchestra. So they decided they really needed to make them out of something that was a little louder. Hope you enjoyed that one. So I have a little friend here with me today. This is the Piccolo. Now, if you say, oh, that looks like the wooden flute, you're absolutely right. It does look like the wooden flute, but this is a modern day Piccolo. It is still made out of wood. It has a much nicer sound. The metal ones are great for marching band, but nobody really wants to hear that inside. At least not usually. Some pieces you need that, but not usually. So this one's still got plenty of power. Let me tell you, you can clear a room with this little guy. To let you know, I have my flute here. You can see the difference. I'm going to have to do it sideways. So the length is what, about half-ish. And the Piccolo is higher than the flute. The Piccolo is an octave higher than the flute, so I can actually play flute music on the Piccolo. It just sounds much higher. I'm going to play a little piece now. I have to apologize. It's been a while since I've done this one. I don't get to play the Piccolo very often. It's not really a solo instrument for the most part. So, but this is a famous little riff from a famous orchestral piece most of you, I'm sure, have heard. That was a little rough, not quite right, but you get the idea. If you recognize that as the part of the Chinese dance from the Nutcracker, you're absolutely right. You may wonder why I'm all the way back here. Well, I have some recorder friends to show you today, and some of them are quite large, and you won't be able to see them if I'm up close to the video. So, here we go. This is the Soprano Recorder, though. He's not very large. This is the size that most people learn to play on. I learned on a plastic one when I was about your age. I will be playing on a wooden one today because this is what they were originally made out of. It's one of the oldest woodwind instruments, and it's called a woodwind because it is made out of wood, and you play it with your wind. Now, if you want to see some fingers fly on a recorder, do a YouTube search for Vivaldi Recorder Concerto. Those are lots of notes, and they go by very fast. I will not be playing that today. I am not there. I have not practiced much this week. But I will play for you some hot cross buns so you can hear what a wooden recorder sounds like. This is the Soprano Recorder, and that means he plays the high notes, and the lowest he can go is not very low. I'll play it for you. That's all. Now that you've met the Soprano Recorder, it's time to meet the Alto Recorder, his big brother. Now, he's a bigger recorder, so is he going to play higher or lower, do you think? If you said lower, you're absolutely right. So you heard that the lowest notes this one could play, right? Now I'm going to play the lowest notes that the alto can play. You'll notice it has the holes are further apart. I have to stretch my little tiny fingers to play it, but let's see what happens. It's low. But yet, there's more. We have the alto and the soprano. We have the alto and the tenor. It's huge. This is an even lower recorder. also made out of wood. Lovely sound. You may wonder why he has his rope on him. It's because he is so long, it's hard for me to hold it up without dropping it. So it's just there to keep me from dropping the instrument. Now, as low as the alto was, the tenor goes lower. And the bottom key, bottom hole is so far down, there is no way that anyone, I don't know, giant maybe, could reach all the way down there. So they gave you a key. So you push the key down and that plays the note. I'm going to grab the thumb strap so I don't drop anything because it's a really nice recorder. And I'm going to just play some of the low notes for you. How about hot cross buns on the tenor? I don't know how many of you know what this instrument is, but it is a clarinet. I must apologize. I am not a clarinetist. This one belonged to my mother. She wasn't playing it anymore, and she gave it to me so I could show it to you guys. I'll try to make a sound out of it. It's not going to be beautiful, but before I do that, I want to show you. It has keys like the flute. It also has just some holes, just like the fife did. It's sort of a combination woodwind. And if you look on the back, instead of just blowing straight into it, you'll see that I have a reed here, this white piece of wood. When you blow in, you're kind of blowing across the reed and it vibrates. It actually kind of tickles just a little bit. And it makes sort of a buzzing sound, but it's got a really unique sound. This one's a big, this one's in Peter and the Wolf. So if you've listened to the piece by Prokofiev, Peter and the Wolf, I think you'll recognize the sound. And I'm going to see what I can do. I'm apologizing ahead of time and no promises, okay? So I'm just planning to not squeak. That's what I'm hoping for. Here we go. I really hope you enjoyed our little tour of the Woodwind family. It's certainly some of my favorite instruments. I look forward to introducing you to some of the other instrument families. Bye for now.